Forgot to click myself in here. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. I am trying to do a little bit of multitasking this morning. I'm trying to get this, you might be able to hear it. I'm trying to get this printer back here fired up. My Tech Bears black filament came in yesterday, so I'm going to try to use that, what little bit of that black I got left right there. And I think it's going to be enough for what I'm fixing to run right here. And then I'm going to get the other one, and I may even set the one that's down there on the floor. I may set it somewhere and get it fired up as well. I'm going to try to get some more little brackets and swivel things and all for my camera mount stuff that I'm going to be doing. So let me switch that background there. Let's come and take a look, see who's hanging out with us this morning. All right, Lonnie's here. Good morning, Lonnie. Leo. Good morning, Dave and Jack. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you, Leo. Jack has assumed his position right down here at my feet. Balmy 45 degrees. Projected in the high 60s. Okay. Paul is here. Good morning, Paul. Larry Galt is here. Morning, Dave. Looks like Dave is out of the woods as far as Ian goes. Yeah, it's looking like I could possibly not even get any rain. Although, from what Joanne said this morning in the little picture she had, which, that's all subject to change. I'm in the part that's supposed to get a little rain, and in fact, doesn't even look windy out there, but they said we're under a wind advisory from 8 a.m. this morning until 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. tonight. But as I look out there, it doesn't look like the trees are even moving yet. But, that all can change. We'll see. Darren Birds is here. Good morning, Darren. Thomas Graham. He says, good morning, just about like Leo's forecast. Yeah. Gary Hammett, good morning. David Davis is here. Good morning. Kevin Ailes, good morning. Let's see who else here. Lou Thomas, good morning. George says, good morning, Dave and Jack. Hope all our Ian friends are okay. Yeah, like I said, I know a lot of people that live down in South Florida and even Middle Florida. And the ones that live down in South Florida around Fort Myers, Naples, that area, I've seen their Facebook posts where it says mark safe from Ian. So I guess they made it okay. And that's kind of what I keep looking for on Facebook, is to see people that are posting, letting everybody know they're okay. My favorite solar man's here. Good morning, Ryan. I'm going to be turning and looking this way a lot this morning because I'm watching. I've got the security camera locked on that one, so I don't have to turn completely around. The one thing that I kind of don't like about that printer is it's got that little like metal box. You can see it right there all around it. And you cannot see, you have to really get down and try to look under there. And, and I like to be able to see those first few lines, if I'm doing something small, and you cannot see them. You have to wait till it gets going a while, and then of course, it may be messed up. So, all right, looks like Sean's here as well. Ryan's giving an update. 707 of the 1,023 scoreboard parts. You down the home stretch, buddy. You're getting close. Yeah, I was hoping to. I don't know about Amazon sometimes. When you don't, when you order something and you don't really need it, you don't really care when they bring it. It'll be there like next day. And then when you get something that you're either out of or you're in a hurry to use, like I was this filament, I was hoping it would come early yesterday and I could have run a few of these parts yesterday, but they didn't come till like 7 or 7:30 or something like that. So I didn't even bother firing up any of the printers, but got just had started that one. It's just now laying down the first thing. Gary said, "Did I see the video of the shark swimming in a flooded street in Fort Myers?" I saw a video of a shark swimming in a flooded street. I don't remember where it was. It might have been the same one you're talking about. I don't know if it was Fort Myers or not. Most likely it was. But Larry says, I thought that new printer used special filament. Well, yes and no. It can use any kind of filament. Like right now, what I'm running is the Amazon Basic, the stuff I always use. But they sent a bunch of filament that's supposed to be special. And I don't know what they call it, but it's supposed to be for when you try and do that high speed printing where you really, because they claim that thing will do 300 millimeters a second. I know if I try to, I've only tried to run it half that fast at 150, and holy cow, it shakes that whole table. I'd have to set it on something a whole lot more solid than that little table I have it on to try to run it fast. But yeah, it will use special filament, but you can also, it's a 3D printer, so you can run anything through it as long as you have the settings correct. But anyway, yeah, I watched a lot of live coverage of the hurricane stuff yesterday. In fact, I pretty much just set it on there and left it on all day long. And I tell you what, them hurricanes are no joke, especially those big ones like that. That thing was huge. It's still big. I guess it's I think it's technically been downgraded to a tropical storm now, but who knows? Once it gets all the way across Florida and hits that warm water again, it may pick up some strength. And right now, it looks like South Carolina and North Carolina are going to get a good dose of it. But I guess that's part of how they can create so much damage. Is this one? I don't know what it's doing now. I didn't catch it this morning, but yesterday they said one reason why it was, dumping so much water and stuff is because it wasn't moving but about 9 miles an hour. They said back, and they did say Irma was 5 years ago. That's the one that I remember really well. But they said it was 5 years ago, so I guess 2017. But it moved a lot quicker. But this one is just, crawling across there, and the whole time, strong winds, dumping buckets of rain and stuff. So it's crazy. And I saw, of course, it's past part of where it hit, right around Tampa Bay and St. Pete and all that. Uh, and it's unfortunate, but they get on there and they beg and beg and beg people to get out of your house, just go inland a little bit, and then come back. And people won't do it. And I'm not sure, but I think there's been some fatalities because people just don't. We can ride this one out. It's like what's that comedian I see all the time on Facebook, James Gregory. He's always talking about the miracles of plywood. People think if they get them some plywood, they can ride it out. So I don't know. Let's see. David said I would worry more about the gators. Yeah, that's one reason why I wouldn't want to live in Florida. Uh, if I lived in Florida, it would have to be like the very northern part. But they got the gators, they got the pythons they're catching all the time, and there's all kinds of weird critters that people buy as pets, and then they start getting big and be a pain. They turn them loose, and they can thrive down there in that kind of temperatures and stuff. There's just too many weird. I would hate to think uh, that every time I went to go outside and take Jack, that I would have to put him on a leash and be on the lookout for gators. Because Jack's a big old boy, but I'm sure he would look pretty tasty to a gator. So, and them other little dogs that a lot of people have down there, I call them the little yappy dogs. That's just a snack for those things. So, I don't know. I know, pretty much no matter where you live, you're probably going to have something. California, you have, or the West Coast even, you have wildfires and mudslides and stuff like that. In the Midwest, Hurricane out or Tornado Alley have tornadoes and stuff, and you're probably going to have something. Maybe snow blizzards or something. You're going to have something you're not going to like all the time. But I just don't. Florida just does not appeal to me at all. It just doesn't. I used to go there every summer when I was a little kid. From the time I'm old enough to remember doing stuff, Mom, Dad would load me and the kids, the other kids up in the family. We had a 57 Chevy Bel Air, and we would drive to Florida, and we'd have Grandma with us. Grandma, my dad's mom, would be with us. And we'd all go to Florida, always go to Fort Myers, Sanibel Island, all that kind of stuff. And eventually my grandmother moved. She lived next door to us when Mom and Dad built a house out near Danville. My grandmother was still living in Indianapolis. Well, she liked being out in the country, so she bought a piece of property and had a house built right next door to ours. So it was really cool having Grandma right next door. Well, she didn't stay there long. She didn't like the winters of Indiana stuff, and I'm like, it's not like you go anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere. But anyway, she left, moved down to Fort Myers, or Lehigh Acres is actually where she lived. And then she passed away, I think, in 1973, and is buried down there somewhere. So, and I keep saying I'm going to go down there sometime just to go see where she's buried, because I didn't get to go when she passed away. So haven't been down there to see that. But anyway, other than that, I have no reason to go to Florida for sure. Let's see. I'm missing some folks here. Rob Schuster's in the house. Good morning, Rob. George says, good point about the 3D shaking the table. I guess that's supposed to be thinking about the Creality Sonic Pad for Marlin flavored systems. Does anybody have any experience with it? I don't even know what that is. Is that something you set the 3D printer on? I don't know what that is. Enlighten us, George. George says that's Ian's a good reason for him to stay in Michigan. Yeah. Okay. Larry says possibly hundreds dead. Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I hope that's not accurate, but it really wouldn't surprise me because so many people like, man, we'll get some plywood and some beer. We can ride this out. You know, that's a weather's a very unpredictable thing. And sometimes you don't always plan for everything. Clyde's here. Good morning, Clyde. Lou says, "Don't forget the mosquitoes." Yeah, I don't really know how they could be any worse than they are here. I'm a dadgum mosquito magnet. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I just have the blood type or it's my diet or what. I said this the other day. I think if I'm in a room with 100 people and there's one mosquito, guess who's going to get bit? It's going to be me. They just love me for some reason. That's why when I first moved here, and I guess it's because I've got a lot of woods around me and stuff. I don't know. There's more water on the leaves and stuff like that. I don't really know. And I know there's a creek back there a good ways too. But when I first moved here, because it gets hot here. It gets really hot, and I would try to wear shorts, out in the garage and stuff. And I'm like, nah, this didn't work. I would be constantly smacking and trying to get and then I'd spray the off, get the can off, spray it all over, and then whatever you don't spray, which is usually your face, that's where they come. So, but yeah, I'm a mosquito magnet. So I just always wear long pants whenever I'm outside. Yeah, Kenneth says mosquitoes love him too. I don't know. It's weird because you've probably had the same deal, Kenneth, where you're sitting out on the deck or something with somebody and you're just getting eat up and they're like, I don't know, they don't seem too bad, they're not bothering me. I'm like, yeah, they don't seem bad because they're killing me over here. Yeah. All right, that thing's cranking up now. I'm hoping it's can y'all hear it? It looks like it's doing something, but because of that darn metal piece, until it gets about an eighth inch high or so, you can't really see nothing. And what I'm running, I'm trying to remember how big that is. I think I'm running just kind of a little round plate that's, I think, 3 inches diameter. And so it really, until it gets going good, you won't even be able to see it under that box thing. And then of course there's a fan mounted, funky direction on the back. So it's just hard to see what you're doing. Um, let's see here. Lonnie says, put a couple of dryer sheets in your pockets and they will not bite you. I will try it. I will try it. Of course, it's getting cooler now. They won't be as bad, but I'll try anything. I haven't heard that one. I have not heard that one. Clyde says we only get tornadoes. Yeah, I do worry a lot about tomatoes. Well, I worry about those too, but tornadoes. Uh, every time we have like a tornado watch or a warning or something, because I've got lots of really big trees, big old trees out there. But I always kind of console myself thinking, well, it might not, it hadn't happened in probably 40 or 50 years because that's probably how old those trees are. They didn't get that big just in a couple of years. So maybe this is a safe spot. They always say the trailer parks are tornado magnets because they always seem to get wiped out. So I don't know. Maybe some truth to that. Who knows? I do not know. Okay, here's another. Larry says, tie the dryer sheets to your belt loops. I'll make a hat out of one if I have to, if it works. Because I mean, there were days in this, in the summertime when I'm out. Either it doesn't matter where I'm at, whether I'm around back in that shop or just out here in my garage. But man, they just tear me up. I mean, if you've watched my Saturday Night Live show, you probably see me swatting at them sometimes. Uh, if a few of them get in the garage, because I always have the door closed, uh, but if a few of them are already in there, they'll eat me up while I'm trying to do that show out there. Okay, so how come I'm just now hearing about this? I will get some. I will get some. George says, I live with deep woods off during heavy critter season. However, last summer was unusually devoid of those pesky bugs. Okay. I tell you what I seen the other day, and I almost walked right through it. But I was out back, and like I said, I sometimes I'll say backyard, but it's really a woods because other than the first 20 or so feet, 30 maybe 30 feet, everything else past that away from my house is woods. And I had thrown Jack's ball out there like I do a lot. And sometimes the old fella comes back up to the door and I'll say, "Where's your ball?" And sometimes he forgets where he puts it because sometimes he'll go out there and he'll pick it up after I've thrown it. And then all of a sudden, he's like me, something shiny and catch his eye, and he's like, "Oh, well, I think I'll go over here and pee on this tree, and then I might go over here and hit this one." And he'll set that ball down somewhere. And then when I say go get your ball, because he knows I won't let him back in until he brings that ball in, he'll run back down there to where I threw it. But then if he's went somewhere else in the yard and set it down, he can't find it or he don't remember where he put it. So he had done that the other day. He'd went out there and looked and looked and looked. And I thought, all right, let me come down there and look and see if I can help you find that ball. So I'm walking around out there, and it's pretty snaky looking out there because back there in the woods, I don't mow it or anything. You about need a bush hog to cut it anyway. So, I'm watching, I'm always looking down, watching where I'm stepping because, I've always had copperheads, although I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't seen any this year. And I doubt if I do this late in the year. But I'm always looking for snakes, particularly a copperhead. So I'm looking down and I'm walking around. All of a sudden, I happen to raise my head up and look, and I was like this close to a wolf spider that had built a web between trees. And I guarantee you that joker was as big as my hand. And I'm like, holy, I would have freaked out if I'd have walked through that because I do the same thing when I'm cutting grass. When I'm coming down this side right here, it's like, you're looking where you're doing and trying to get limbs out of your way and stuff, and not pay attention. You drive right through one spider webs, and then you're doing that dance, that everybody does, trying to make sure that if there was a spider in, because a lot of times when you see those spider webs, there's always a spider right in the middle of it, waiting on something to get in there. So I'm just, once I drive through one of them, I'm thinking, I know there's got to be like 1,000,000 spiders on them. But anyway, let's see. Client says we had a big tree pulled right out of the ground a few weeks back, not far from here, and nothing else. Jesse's here. Good morning, Jesse. All right, that thing's getting wound up pretty good now. Can you hear it? Because it's really loud to me now. And I look over there and I still can't see the filament. I don't see nothing flopping around out from under it, so I guess it's sticking good. I hope so. Gary says, put up a bluebird or martin house. They eat the mosquitoes. Yeah. Well, I've got I never see more than 2, it seems, but I've got a couple of bats. I don't know where they hang out at during the day, but at dusk, when Jack and I go out there, you always see them flying because there's a street light over there that my neighbor over in front of my neighbor's house, and they're always flying all around. Of course, I have security lights, so when we walk out and hit the motion sensor, those lights come on. So I'm always seeing those bats. And at one point, I even bought a bat house in hopes to attract a whole bunch of bats because the mosquitoes were so bad. But I never could. I put it out there and I never could get them to go in. And I've heard people say when you put a bat house up, leave it up. Don't, if you don't get bats even after a year, just keep leaving it up because they might take them a long time to get in there. Yeah. And then I left it up so long, it finally just started getting so weathered it was falling apart. And I'm like, after several years, and I'm like, I never did get any bats in there. I have been up in my attic, over my garage in the little vent or whatever that thing is at the end of the house, right there up at the corner, there's a screen there so nothing can come in. But I went in my attic one time, there was a bat hanging right in there, and I'm like, yeah, you need to bring your friends down here because I'm plenty happy with if I could get a big bunch of bats to hang out here. But all I ever see flying around is 2 of them. So, and there's probably way more mosquitoes than 2 of them can eat. I don't know. Keith is here. He says late to the party. That's all right, Keith. George says the martin bird is the best to contain mosquito pests. All right. Let's see. David said he has his yard sprayed for mosquitoes. Well, I don't have my yard sprayed, but my neighbor, I think she still does. She used to. She always had a company come, and I don't know if they were spraying for mosquitoes. It probably had something in it that worked for those. But she would always have her lawn treated with stuff to keep it green and pretty and all that stuff. So maybe that's why I had lots of mosquitoes, because they wouldn't hang out over at her house. They'd all come over here and get me. I don't know. But anyway, it's all good in the hood, as they say. All right, I guess I'm going to get out of here. My time is just about up, like right now. I think that's sticking pretty good. So I'm going to get off here, check out this Tech Bears. Thanks, Larry, for telling me about this stuff. I'm going to give it a shot. Because that spool right there is the neon orange stuff or whatever. So I'm trying to do all this stuff in black. So I'm going to set this Tech Bears on there and be running a bunch of little brackets and stuff like that to get all this little camera stuff done like I want. It's coming along pretty good. I'm just slow getting it designed because I'm thinking about it and changing my mind, and then I'll run something and I might like it and I might not. But I think I've about decided on how it's all gonna work. So this hopefully today I should be able to get everything 3D printed. I think that I need for to finish it up. So anyway, let me get out of here. Y'all get going on your Thursday. And if you're not doing nothing, come back tomorrow. We'll be on number 580. And soon to hit 600 here pretty soon. So anyway, y'all have a great Thursday. We'll see y'all.